Well, this is something I've never done before, but I thought I would do a little intro to this video just to apologise for the poor picture quality in certain places. This was all taken quite a few years ago, and I was using a fairly basic pocket camera which didn't really cope with low light very well. So I tried to brighten the dull parts up in the edit, but that's just made it more grainy, and it was only 720p in the first place, so still not very good. Anyway, I hope it's still worth a watch. So, without any further ado, let's go take a look. Right, we've got a few little bits and pieces to do on this thing, which is an inlet plenum chamber off of a 5-cylinder Audi, which has been modified to fit on a 4-cylinder Volkswagen Golf. You can kind of see that there would have been another inlet pipe coming off of this end. I think they must have shortened this a bit because this plate on the end I think that's been welded on. But it needs a few more things fiddling with. They want 3 M10 by 1 tapped holes in this area here, so that they can take vacuum or pressure off to, I don't know what, some sensors. So 3 little tapped holes got to go in there. They've asked us if we can take these lumps off the top because they're redundant, they don't do anything. And that is possibly going to help us out, because the other thing that we've got to do is to reposition these holes in the end here. They've changed the throttle body, and they've tried to, it looks like they've tried to use a couple of the holes that this was originally designed for, or for the body that was originally on this base. And they've ended up with this being really close to the edge of the hole, so it's, yeah, that's not right. So this needs to come across about 3mm, and as you can see, yeah, that's going to be pretty tricky trying to drill and tap a hole, I don't know, 3mm away from the centre of an existing hole. So we're going to have to fill these in first, and it's impossible really to try and fill it with weld to any kind of depth. So we're just going to put a plug in there and weld around the top, and I will probably drill this out 6mm so that I can put a plain plug in rather than faffing around with threading bits of aluminium. If I had any alley bolts, that'd be handy, but I don't, so yeah. And I was saying that taking these lumps off will help us, because I want to be able to drill and tap these things square to this surface, and this is going to be such an awkward thing to hold. Right, so what I've ended up doing is bolting the inlet manifold to a big box plate, which is then just mounted on the table of a pedestal drill. And you can probably see that the 2 lugs, the bosses on the casting, and which have got to be taken off, weren't really, they were neither help nor hindrance for this, so I just left them there to be dealt with later. So here I'm just drilling out the holes, the original tapped holes, to plain 6mm holes. And here are those holes with plugs inserted, just plain plugs. I made them a pretty decent fit, a little bit short, so there's a bit of recess in the top, and that gives me somewhere to put some weld over the top to hold them in.
And here are those welds over the top of the plugs. And then the welds were filed down, and then the top sanded smooth, and then the new holes were marked out, basically drawn through the gasket and then centre popped in the middle of the circles. And this is the manifold back on the box plate. Bit of extra packing around it on this time. I was trying to make sure that the top was flat, so that I was going to drill the new holes nice and square. And this is a bit more of a close-up with the clamps that I used to fix the manifold onto the box plate.
blunt. Oh my gosh, yep, properly blunt. Well, there's 4 new holes, nicely lined up with the holes in the gasket, and if we take the gasket off, I think you'd be hard pressed to see that anything's been done with this, so I'm quite pleased with that. All we've got to do now is take these bumps off the side. Well, I'll just bandsaw these lumps off of here, quickest way of doing it, and all I've got to do now is smooth them off with a angle grinder or powerfile or something or whatever. So we'll have a go at that, and then this will be done. Right, I've just taken most of that off with the band on our polishing spindle. 100 grip belt, makes pretty short work of that. We do run the risk of putting grooves down the edge where the edge of the belt runs, so I might have a little bit of that to blend in here, but we're nearly there. That's a bit too fine. I think that'll do. This is obviously going to be refinished anyway, so I don't know what they're going to do with this. Blast it or something, I guess. So by the time this has all been redone, that should look okay. This is a lot smoother than this round here. Yep. Flipping fan in the laptop kicking in. Shush!